What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So, just a quick update on some stuff. There was a passing in my family today, so I am headed out of town for the next few days. I probably will not be back until early next week sometime. I'll let you guys know what's going on with that. But yeah, I'm basically just pre-recording a couple of videos for you guys. I've got this video I'm talking about predictions of what we're going to see for A-Force and Dark Hunters on the Friday blog post. And I'm going to do another video or two, just kind of try to pump them out before I head out for the next week or so. But I've received some kind words already. Thank you guys for that. But yeah, we're just going to kind of dive into this right now. So we got a tease of some buffs to Dark Hunters and A-Force already. And shout out to Tana for putting up this list, talking about what we got so far that was accidentally revealed. And it was confirmed by, I think it was either Cerebro or Archangel, I can't remember now, basically confirming that we'll be seeing the full update to these teams on the Friday blog post. And I'm going to kind of go over, I've got a list here, I've got a notepad written down of different things that kind of blends in with the green screen. How about that? Basically, some things I would like to see in addition to what we got here with these changes here. I think these changes are great already, and I did video footage of like what we saw with them. But I do think that, especially with A-Force, we need to see a little bit more. And I'm going to kind of break down what I'm hoping we'll see in the blog post on Friday, and we'll come back around to this when I come back in town, and we'll kind of revisit whether my predictions were right or not. And yeah, like right now, like Dark Hunters, just on these changes, giving Baron Mordo the Dark Hunter trait, the speed bar reduction against blinded enemies with his ultimate, giving defense up to Dark Hunter allies, 100% chance to blind and war offense up from 75% chance. Like, this stuff is all amazing. And this 30% focus of Dark Hunters itself as well. Like, this now, like, someone was commenting on my video today about how, like, now they feel comfortable taking Skirmisher off of Morbius because now they can, now they get plenty of focus boost from Mordo. So that looks great. Elsa's ultimate now clears Death Proof and gets 500% boost and focus here. We showed this in the footage as well. We hit a Luke Cage that still had a stack of charge on him, had Death Proof. Elsa cleared that Death Proof, killed him, and anybody she kills with her ultimate cannot be revived. So the Dark Hunter stuff already looks absolutely bonkers. It's going to be great. I do think there's a little bit more they can do with this, and I'm going to start by talking about that first, and then we'll dive into A-Force. A-Force is going to be a lot more to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with A-Force and what I think they really need to do to bring that team forward. And yeah, we'll dive into all that. But Morbius, we're starting with Morbius. Number one, they need to change how Disrupted is applied. Right now, it's applied to the primary target. And it's so infuriating because when we first got the Dark Hunter reveal, I brought up the issue of, hey guys, all they have to do is bring Luke Cage off the edge, and this is not going to work. And they said, well, we think it will. Yeah. I still very clearly remember that conversation. It drives me nuts that they were adamant that this was not going to be a problem, where if you brought in Luke Cage, I thought it was going to be fine. It did not turn out to be that way. It does okay, but it makes it very much more complicated, especially against those incredibly beefy Heroes for Hire teams. So what they need to do, instead of making it apply to the primary target, they need to change it so that any city hero protector that is hit by his ultimate gets disrupted. That completely negates the issue of positioning with Luke Cage in off the edge, and it also opens up things for Young Avengers. We're going to talk about how this team could be a little bit better against Young Avengers as well. With Ms. Marvel on the Young Avengers team, you bring her in off the edge, but she's a city hero protector. You get that disrupt on her, you're solid. Like, you're really good to go at that point. I think that's gonna be a big deal if they change this so that disrupt is just on any city hero protector. Their design philosophy for Dark Hunters was to be a Heroes for Hire counter. By proxy, because there are some city heroes on the Young Avengers, they can beat the Young Avengers. I think with some buffs, you can get a reliable counter from Dark Hunters onto Young Avengers. And that starts here. Another thing I do want to talk about, and I'm not sure, I've been kind of going back and forth on this one. and I'd love to hear your all's feedback on this, is changing it so that he's applying blind to all enemies instead of city hero enemies. And I'm torn on this one because it would make this team incredible on offense against any team, but you also have the blind now, the boost in the blind from Mordo. And I just don't know. Like, I feel like that'd be a little too strong because now you have 2 turns of blind on the enemy team. You have the blind with Morbius, and then that speeds up your Dark Hunter team, and then you get blind with Mordo on the enemy team plus a stun. I feel like that'd be a little too strong. So I would love to see this be on like the 5 highest damage enemies instead of just city heroes, but I can understand why they would just leave it for city heroes because they want this to be a counter to heroes for hire. But I can understand if they don't want to make Dark Hunters uber strong, like way too strong. I can understand that. We'll see how that all pans out. One other thing to mention with Dark Hunters is going to be Dr. Voodoo. This special, this really needs to have bonus focus on it. The issue is that, yeah, he gets a nice boost in focus, but because there's so many stacks with charge on the enemy team, like they get like 350% boost in resistance, he's never really landing the ability block. When's the last time you saw him land the ability block on this if you weren't able to like kind of focus down the primary target first and get rid of some of those stacks of charge? He really wasn't getting rid. He really wasn't getting the ability block to land. And the defense down doesn't really matter because Morbius is already flipping the defense up and the defense down on the enemy team. So I would really like to see like a 500% boost in focus to this special. That way you can reliably land the ability block and reliably land defense down. That way also makes it a little bit better against non-city hero teams. You know, just getting some boost in focus because it feels like I'm always seeing the effects from this get resisted. And it's just like the mind control and the damage boost is great on its own, but that ability block, man, that ability block and the defense down is so good. And if you could really get those to land, I think this would be even better. So yeah, that's another thing I'd like to see. And one other thing I noticed in my test footage, and maybe I'll pull it up for us to go over a little bit. When I was doing the footage of Dark Hunters versus Heroes for Hire, I noticed something, and it's gonna tie into like the passive with Ghost Rider and possibly giving more speed bar, because that's gonna help kind of boost their speed bar at the start of the fight. But I'm also noticing that like Baron Mordo's not really getting to maximize the use out of his ultimate with rewinding speed bar and blinded enemies, because by the time Baron Mordo moves, I don't know why I keep saying Baron Mordo, just call him Mordo. By the time Mordo moves, half of the Heroes for Hire have already moved, and they have lost blind. So you're not really getting the full use out of this, which means you're having to use that special first, but that feels kind of antithetical, you know? Like, you should feel like you should always want to use the ultimate first, because the ultimate's more powerful. But, yeah, I mean, you can already see here, we got some blinds here on these characters. Look at that. Yeah, it's just resisted everything. Like, there's no ability block on him. There you go, yeah. Etc, etc. Yeah, but see, by the time now I'm using this, like, I'll rewind speed bar on Shang-Chi and on Colleen, but, you know, Misty has already moved. Yeah, it feels like we're not quite getting the maximum use out of Mordo here. So I'm wondering if maybe we get a little bit more speed bar on Spawn with this team. Maybe speed up Mordo a little bit more so we get that guaranteed speed bar rewind, because he only rewinds speed bar on blinded enemies. So it's either you use his special first turn to blind the enemy team and stun that primary target, and then you have to like hope your Mordo is fast enough to then get back around and rewind speed bar. Or maybe we just get a little bit of a nudge at the start of the fight, make that Mordo just a little bit quicker, and he gets that ultimate off pretty quickly and just rewind speed bar on everybody. I would like to see that. I don't know if they'll do it, but I think that just helps kind of maximize the potential of Mordo on this team with that ultimate. So that's kind of what I want to see with Dark Hunters. Change how the disrupt is applied on the ultimate for Morbius, boost on the focus for Dr. Voodoo's special, and utilize that blind and a little bit more speed bar with Mordo to make that team a little bit better. But let's talk A-Force. And boy, do we have a lot to say about A-Force. This team right now, let's be honest, A-Force is just not good. A lot of people like to call them skeletal, and I think that's totally fair. This team lacks a lot. And for a team that was supposed to be a top-tier war team, and Scopely said it was supposed to be a top-tier war team, we are having to rely on Doom being on the team to counter Young Avengers. That should not be a thing. You should not have to rely on Dark Dimension powerful characters like Dormammu, like Doom. You shouldn't have to rely on those characters to make a team. And that's been our big worry, is that they weren't really going to buff this team. And because people were already using Doom, they weren't going to try to buff this team. And maybe down the road we'll see a 5th character that does help take this team up to another level. But I think right now, let's start with Nico. So Nico actually has a couple of changes already. We could show those. Nico, and let's be clear, what we've already seen with the changes to A-Force are amazing. Like, Jessica Jones is now Squirrel Girl for A-Force, which is nuts. Speed up for 1 turn on all allies, which is great. 20% turn meter to Jessica Jones and more offense whenever an A-Force ally is debuffed. 75% chance to give Jessica 1 ability energy and more offense whenever an A-Force ally is debuffed. Like, that right there, that ability energy and the speed bar when someone is debuffed, I would like to see this change up to 100%. There can still be some really bad... A big problem with A-Force right now has been the RNG of these fights. And I think this can still be an issue. I would like to see this change from 75% to 100%, just to guarantee she's going to get that speed bar. Because, basically what's going to happen is the entire A-Force team is going to get debuffed. She gets 60% speed bar, and she gets 3 ability energy. Now, this is probably a little bit too strong, because that just means she's going to use her special over and over again and feed ability energy. So maybe change this to 100% chance and drop this to 10% speed bar, maybe 15%. I think it would be a little better. But yeah, I'm just not comfortable with this, because there's a good chance that your entire team gets debuffed and she doesn't get ability energy with it. And that's really going to suck. So I would much prefer see this at 100% chance to gain ability energy and see the speed bar gain drop. Because yeah, if she's just using her cleanse over and over and over again, yeah, that's stupidly OP. You gotta balance that somehow. I think just guaranteeing the ability energy and dropping the speed bar boost would be much, much better. Let me know what you guys think of that. But moving back to Nico here, this ultimate, I mean, we all know the issues with the ultimate. The ultimate is just, it's this flipping the deflect, minor deflect, speed up, and defense up, flipping those to negative effects, beautiful. The issue is applying the trauma. And it has to be the enemy with the highest health and the enemy with the highest damage and the primary target. And this is part of the issue, is that if you guess wrong on who has the highest damage and highest health on the enemy team, you're screwed. This needs to change. This needs to apply to the entire enemy team. There's really no reason why this shouldn't be at least applying trauma to the entire enemy team. Keep disrupted on the highest health and highest damage, that's fine. But trauma should be going on the entire enemy team. At this point, I think it should be. I mean, we have Morbius applying trauma. We have Weapon X applying trauma. Trauma is the new thing. And really, it's just this. This needs to be applying trauma and not necessarily disrupt, but trauma to more enemies. That really needs to be happening. I mean, we could talk about this right now. This cooldown's also way too long. 8 turn cooldown. You're never going to get this off a second time. And same thing with her special. This special's 5 turns, but the problem... A-Force just isn't survivable. You're never going to get you're not going to get a chance to use these abilities a second time. And there's all this stuff about, use these abilities again a second time, you get those stuff, but the team doesn't last long enough in war for you to do this. And it's kind of nuts. And maybe this is where, we get some buffs and they become a better Scourge team, because right now it's Young Avengers and A-Force for the Famine Scourge. Yes, the Famine Scourge. I gotta make sure I get my Scourges right, 'cause I keep getting them mixed up. Famine Scourge for Rogue requires Inhumans, A-Force, and Young Avengers. And really, the only team that's viable in there is Young Avengers. And I'm hoping that A-Force gets some buffs here that's gonna make them a viable team to use in the Scourge as well. Like, maybe get some buffs outside of War as well. But, yeah, I mean, how often are you using these? Are you using these characters? And actually, like, it doesn't say here in ton of stuff, like, this right here, there's nothing about, actually, no, it's just for War offense. I would love to see also, maybe take this and get rid of the War stuff. That would also kind of make them crazy for the Scourge event. I mean, Squirrel Girl goes nuts. Pun 100% intended. Squirrel Girl goes crazy with her cleanses and heals and everything because her team's falling low on health. Why can't Jessica Jones have that same kind of synergy for non-war events? So you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think, you know, reduce the cooldowns here. And then the passive as well. This safeguard immunity and death proof to the highest A-Force ally, immunity and death proof to the lowest health A-Force or lowest health ally. Why can't we get a immunity on the entire team? Like, why does it have to be the highest health A-Force ally and the lowest health ally? Why can't we just get safeguard? I understand not being on the entire team. Why can't the entire team have immunity at the start of the fight? You know, like immunity, maybe even death proof. Obviously, you don't want to put safeguard on everybody, but like, why can't the entire A-Force team? They're so squishy. Like, why can't they have immunity? Why can't they have death proof on spawn? Why does it have to be a certain ally? Like this is always really frustrating me too. And because I have a 7 red Jessica Jones, like, she's always getting safeguard, immunity, and death proof, but she has stupid high resistance. So like the immunity is kind of wasted on her as well. Like, man, like A-Force really annoys me. As you can see here, I've barely upgraded. I took them up to tier 14 and said, that's it, I'm done. Like, because I try to use them in War, but having a beefy Jessica Jones over here, it really screws things up, especially with Nico's passive. Like, that really drives me nuts, because the safeguard immunity and everything is just wasted. Because Jessica's getting it, but she has such high resistance and everything that, like, there's no point. There's no point in Jessica having these buffs. So why does Jessica have to have these? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm getting a little ranty here. I apologize. We're trying to keep on target here. You already mentioned the cooldowns. Talked about the 100% energy for Jessica Jones. Removing the specific targets on her ultimate here. The special, we already know where its special is gain a boost in damage, so that's fine. Gain regeneration, that's fine. The basic, it's fine as is. Clearing heal block and stun from the ally with the highest damage, and then calling that ally to attack. That's fantastic. I love that. We know about Jessica Jones. Like, she's going to gain the ability energy. She's going to gain the speed bar. She's great as is. And just those small buffs to her are going to make her like the Squirrel Girl of A-Force. Let's talk about Spider-Woman. I was talking to some people about this today. Here's my impression of Spider-Woman right now. Spider-Woman, basically, you get to use her special, her Gliding Assault, and then she just kind of exists on the team. Like, she doesn't really stand out. She has one of the best damage stats in the game. Let's be clear here. She has crazy high damage. She's top 10 in terms of damage. But, like, how often do you sit there and look at her damage and look at what she's bringing to this team outside of that special and being like, wow, this character is crazy good. She doesn't, outside that special is good. That special is really, really good. Let's be clear here. Ability block on the primary target, heal block and offense down for 2 turns to all other enemies. Like, all other adjacent targets. That's great. Like, that's the entire enemy team gets heal block and offense down for 2 turns. Awesome. Gets plenty of extra focus, unavoidable, can't be blocked, 50% damage per A-Force ally, can't be countered. Like, that's great. I have zero problems with this special. This ultimate, I'm going to start with the ultimate here. This ultimate, these order operations needs to be changed. The flipping positive effects and negative effects, number 1, like, this needs to go for more than 2. This needs to flip 3 or even all positive effects on the enemy target to negative effects, and then she deals additional damage here. Right now, this ultimate's just not doing much. Am I crazy in that? Like, I just feel like this ultimate just never really does anything. So, change the order of operations, flip all positives into negatives, and let's boost the damage per negative effect. 75%, maybe 100% per negative effect. Like, she's got to have good damage, but it just doesn't feel like she's really bringing the damage for this team. Swift Strikes, I don't really have any issue with this. Like, this is a great basic here. Chaining and applying defense down, that's perfect. You know, her Striker ISO attack also applies defense down. I think if we can get something in here where, like, this applying offense down is great. Bonus resistance against offense down. Awesome. Lower accuracy by 25% for all enemies with offense down. This, I think, does need to be more as well. And Kate and Echo really, like, they have so much accuracy on Kate and Echo that it doesn't really matter. So, like, this doesn't really do anything. This was a team that was meant to counter Young Avengers. Reduction in accuracy here just doesn't really do much. This needs to be able to do more against Kate and Echo and be able to reduce their accuracy even more and make this more worthwhile. But also, I want to see some more damage on this character. Now, when we get to Captain Marvel here in a minute, Captain Marvel does boost the damage now of A-Force a little bit more, but I feel like we really need to see something here. Like, let's get some offense up on this team. Let's get some boost in the damage here, because this team cannot rely on Doom. And right now, Doom is the one bringing the damage on this team. This team needs to have way more damage. And Spider-Woman is like the best opportunity for that. Boost her damage across the board. Give her a huge damage boost somehow. Give her offense up. And give her, like, if we give her offense up and she gets the safeguard, like, that's perfect. That's perfect, right? Because now you can't flip that offense up into offense down. She's going to keep that high damage. Her ultimate's just going to absolutely wreck. Her basic can do a lot of damage. Her special does plenty of damage that has plenty of debuffs on it. So I think Spider-Woman just needs to be more damage, better ultimate overall, just a more worthwhile character on this team. Because right now, use her special, and then she just kind of sits there on the team. That's how I feel. And then finally, Captain Marvel. So the big thing here, they have removed this that it cannot crit. This also needs to be changed, and that it cannot be blocked, because, like, there's a lot of deflect on defensive teams. So, I mean, if they're, like, what's the point of making this be able to crit if they're just going to block it and they can't crit? And she's one of the first characters to move as well on A-Force, so it's not like you can clear deflect off the enemy team that much. So, this definitely needs to be able to crit, but also cannot be blocked. Otherwise, no real qualms about that. Warbird, nothing really a big issue with that. And actually, I showed him my footage, and that, I'll see if I can pull it up here. When I did the testing on this, we were generating so much ability energy with Jessica that I was actually able to go back into binary again with Captain Marvel. So yeah, she exits here, and boom, she's going right back into binary mode. So yeah, like that I think is gonna be cool. Yeah, I don't really have any issues with that. One other thing to mention as well is that military allies gain max health and max damage. That's now going to also apply to A-Force, so that's a little bit more damage for Spider-Woman. One other thing I think definitely needs to be changed is that if at least one ally's military gain additional charge, that should also include A-Force. That's an easy fix. That one, I see no issues with that. Like, that gets her additional charge, which means additional round of her doing damage within binary mode. Yeah, I think that's an easy argument to make, in that she just gets an additional stack of charge with A-Force allies present. If they give her an additional stack of charge per A-Force ally, that'd be broken. I think that'd be a little too much. But I mean, this team does need damage, so you could make the argument that she gets one stack of charge per A-Force ally. This team definitely just needs to be better, and they cannot rely on Doom, and that's going to be the big issue. And that is what we're going to see from Scopely on Friday. Will they deliver? Will this team be better? Can this team function against Young Avengers without having to rely on frickin' Doom to beat the team? We will find out on Friday when they release a blog post. I've gone on long enough for this. I've got to get some other videos done and out. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think my predictions are way off base? Do you guys think I'm onto something with these? Do you guys agree, disagree? Let me know down below. As always, guys, if you guys have stuck to the end of this video, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys next time.